Well, good morning everybody. An early start for me, 3:30 alarm clock. But you want to do sunrise shoots in the summer, then this is what you get. Today I've come to a place called Hiorne Tower. I think that's how it's pronounced. Spin around. There she is. Now I've seen lots of photographs of this before, and I knew that it was in Arundel somewhere, but it's literally just tucked behind Arundel Castle. I'll send the drone up in a bit so I can get my bearings. I think the castle is that way, maybe half a mile, but this is in the grounds of Arundel Castle, which you can imagine how big that is. Anyway, so the tower itself is triangular, and it's got 3 turrets, and it used to be lived in, but it's not anymore. It's completely empty, but it's secure. You can't go in, it's closed at the moment. Essentially, this tower is in the middle of a field, so you've got scope to go all the way around it. All 3 sides are equally as photogenic, but if you wanted to photograph the front entrance, that's west facing, so you'd have to come back at sunset when the sun's going to be over there. Now initially I'm going to avoid a symmetrical composition like this because the light is not going to be symmetrical, although you can tell that this is triangular, or maybe even it could be square from this perspective. I'm going to move the camera to somewhere around here so you can tell that it's triangular, and you can tell that there are 3 turrets, but since the sun is coming from the right hand side, I think that this is a much better composition. And then I'll probably just shoot it wide, maybe step back a bit, use a longer lens, and then it'll be a simple composition. I have absolutely 0 clouds to work with here, so unless the clouds start to roll in, there's not going to be any long exposures of this. But this is my first time here, so this is essentially a recce, but hopefully I come away with some good shots. The weather prediction is just clear blue sky, so I'm probably going to have a 30-minute window of opportunity. There are some hills in the east, so it's probably going to take an extra 10 or 15 minutes for the sun to come up and actually hit the tower. But that's the situation. Let's set up. As always, I was getting a bit carried away with the drone there. I forgot I'm here to take some photographs. So now that the sun is on the tower, I need to get busy with the camera. Look at that beauty. This is quite contrasty. So at the moment I'm not using any grad filters at all, because you can see any even soft edge grad is going to completely cover the tower. So I've managed to get the entire shot in the histogram, and that's what I'm going with. If you're interested, I'll put the EXIF data up, but I'm using the EOS R and the 16-35. But like I said, once I've got this shot, I'm probably going to move back, use a longer lens, get some foreground interest, just mix it up a bit. Now I know that some of you are not a massive fan of shooting into the sun, F-16 sun stars, you know who you are, but I like it. And when you're faced with this situation where my composition over there is very dark in the foreground, there's no light over there, I'm going where the light is, which right now is over here shooting into the sun. The front door to the tower is actually on the west elevation, so I'm shooting right into the sun, which you can see here now. I think I'll get some shots with the memorial, and then I'll move around here and get the sun just poking around the side of the tower. Right, now I'll tell you my thought process. This is technically architectural photography, not so much landscape. It's kind of in the middle. Now when you're photographing buildings, ideally you're not pointing your camera upwards because the building will distort. It'll kind of look like it's leaning backwards. The way to fix that, which I didn't bring with me today, is using a tilt shift lens. So what I'm limited to is making sure that the camera is absolutely horizontal. And so when I'm lining this up, my considerations, if my screen stays on, is to make sure that I'm using my grid lines to make sure that the tower is absolutely vertical. You've also got a flag mast on the top. I don't want that flag mast cutting off the top of my image. So essentially, to make sure that your camera is horizontal, you might have to shoot a bit wider than you'd like, but you've got hopefully enough megapixels to play with and you can slightly crop it afterwards. So that's the consideration that's going into this photograph here right now. And then in terms of settings, oh, that's too much. I take it back, too much Sunster. We've got f16, 1/3 of a second, ISO 100. So at the moment, like I said earlier, you can actually go all the way around this. I've been photographing it from the north, from the west and from the south. If you go to the east, because it's sunrise, your own shadow is in the shot and you're not going to get rid of that until maybe another half an hour when the sun comes up a bit higher. So I'm just looking for a bit of foreground interest. Look, you can see how big my shadow is. So if you photograph this from the east, this is the sort of shadow you get. So if you do come here, you can see that there is a solid tarmac path. This leads you all the way down to the road, and it's literally a 5 to 10 minute walk from the road. Nice and easy to get to. So anyway, foreground interest. I think I'm just going to come across to the other side of the path and photograph this. That's a really tricky composition because you need to get low enough to remove the path, but then when you get too low, the foreground starts to cover the tower. So not an easy composition, but I haven't seen a shot like it before, so I thought it might be unique. Let's try and find another composition. What's really nice about shooting this composition now is that all of the hills in the background are now lit up. That's all come to life now. But the foreground here is still way too dark. So once the sun is up over the top of those trees, I think my initial composition will work, which is here. You can see all of the foreground is just not lit up yet right now, and it's just making the image look a bit drab. I'm gonna have to come back to this one. Good news, I have found the solution. It's already an hour past the sunrise and I start to get a bit nervous when my composition isn't working an hour after sunrise, because obviously I want nice side lighting on the tower. So right now all of this foreground is way too dark. But the good news is there's so much space around this tower you can just wander around. So if you head south where you came from, where you parked up, then you'll notice as I go down here, there's a change in level. And now, all of a sudden, that was the dark foreground patch that I was in earlier. Just going to use a slightly longer lens, come all the way back here, drop the camera, and then that's it. I've got a lit up foreground. Plus I'm actually next to a tree here, so I'm actually going to get the 70 to 200 out on the full frame camera and then start to shoot through the leaves and through the grass so that I can kind of frame the tower using the tree in the foreground and stuff like that. Anyway, enough words, let's take some photographs. Right, well I think I'm nearly done here. You can see that the sun is up there. What are we doing for time? The sun came up 2 hours ago. So if you're thinking about coming here, nice and easy location to get to. I'll provide the what 3 words locations within the photographs themselves. If you come here in the summer, obviously it's a very early start, but you've got loads of scope. Since I've been here, in 2 hours, I've seen 3 people. That's it. And they're all together. I've had this place entirely to myself. I think I might return when there are some clouds to do some long exposures, get a bit more interest in the sky, but definitely a very good recce. Brought my infrared camera with me as well, so if you see some photographs where it looks like it's snowing, that's what happened. Well, I think we are done here. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.